2025, there were about 12 grid collapses that took place. We're in 2026 now, and already about 2 collapses have happened in Nigeria. Welcome to another episode of Energy Explained, where we'll be talking about off-grid strategies. My name is Olajumoke Delano, your favorite energy lawyer, coming to you with another interesting, exciting episode on this state electricity market series. So, off-grid. Why off-grid? It's obvious. In 2025, there were about 12 grid collapses that took place. We're in 2026 now, and already about 2 collapses have happened in Nigeria. That's one reason why a state will want to pursue an off-grid strategy. That's number one. Number two is you consider the population of Nigeria, over 200 million people. And the energy being distributed is about 5,000 megawatts. Compare the demand versus the supply. It shows you, even without being a mathematician, that most people who have energy are existing based on self-generation, whether through the generators, solar home systems, and different alternative generation, power generation methods. And so it is important, as a state develops their electricity markets, must have an off-grid strategy. Now, nobody is advising you to do away with the grid, but however, optimize what you can get from the grid and use and build, new capacity to plug the gap between your demand and what you currently receive. For example, if a state receives 100 megawatts, but its demand is in the region of 500, it means that there is a gap, a deficit of about 400. And so it has to generate capacity that will be able to plug this gap and ensure that there's energy access for all. Now, does this have to be done in one fell swoop all at once? No. It is critical for states who are developing their electricity markets to have an off-grid strategy. So they should have off-grid solutions and have an off-grid electrification strategy and an off-grid electrification plan. For the urban areas, it's important, to have, a strategy for developing industrial hubs for the large power users, the industries, to avoid the inefficiencies in the grid. It's no news, that industries with sensitive equipment that require reliable power have moved off the grid. It's no secret that that has happened. And so if a state intentionally creates industrial hubs where the energy supply to those hubs is reliable, then of course you will see industries, returning to the grid because it's cheaper, than self-generation. Not returning to the national grid, but to the state, the solution that has been facilitated by the state in order to address the energy challenges of large power users. What about state electrification agencies? A state electrification agency is responsible for developing a state electrification plan, a plan that takes into consideration the unique needs across all the local governments, of the state, and a systematic way of addressing the energy challenges. So the law requires that, this state electrification plan should be developed, approved, and implemented, in a sequential manner. So it's important, for states as they develop their electricity markets to prioritize electrification for unserved and underserved customers. Almost everybody in Nigeria falls within both unserved and underserved. Underserved because you may be receiving even 20 hours a day, but you are not receiving 24 hours. Unserved are those that don't have access to electricity at all. An off-grid strategy is also very important for use in establishments, government establishments like hospitals, like schools, like offices. For example, hospitals are a very unique category. Their need for power is so critical For example, imagine carrying out a surgery and then power goes off. You can imagine the number of people that may have lost their lives because the power went off when a surgery was being carried on. And maybe the generator didn't come up on time or didn't come up at all. So it's important to have an off-grid strategy that insulates particular establishments, that are very sensitive to voltage fluctuations and even outages. It's important to have an off-grid strategy. What are the examples of off-grid strategies? So you have embedded generation, where the generator plugs in directly to the distribution network. That's what is called embedded generation. What about a mini grid? A mini grid is a plant that it connects a generation plant, to a distribution network and serves a particular community of people. Under the national regulations for mini grids, the threshold was 1 megawatts, but some states are increasing the threshold, for their mini grids to be up to 5 megawatts. A state can have a regulation on mini grids. An integrated utility is just like a mini grid, but it's on a much larger scale. And then solar home systems. In fact, solar home systems are so popular. I live in Abuja. Solar home systems are very popular now. You go around, neighborhoods, you see, dozens, of solar panels on people's roofs. I know of people that have disconnected from the grid, that do not use the grid at all because they've decided that they want to be able to know how much they're consuming, manage their consumption, not pay too much for electricity. And so these are, different ways that people go into the off-grid space. So it's important for states, to promote off-grid solutions for micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. It's very important in order for them, to be able to manage their energy demands, have reliability, have stability, and also manage their energy costs because they are very sensitive to costs. It's also important to collaborate. The Rural Electrification Agency at the national level has done a lot of work and, has access to significant funding, for renewable energy projects, for off-grid, mini grids, funding from the World Bank, and from AFDB, different financiers and funders. So it's important for a state, even as it prioritizes developing its off-grid strategy, to have a discussion with the Rural Electrification Agency at the national level and other international organizations interested in providing capacity building and funding for renewable energy projects in order to take advantage and optimize, these opportunities within its total energy plan for the state. Have you learned something new today? Let me know in the comments section. We've been discussing off-grid strategies, today for state electricity markets. Until I come your way again, it's Olajumoke Delano, your favorite energy lawyer, saying, take care.